Hello everybody, welcome back to part 2 of our garland making. As you can see, I've been busy on mine since the last time I made a video. I must admit, I'm sat in the weirdest position to do this video today. I'm sat at the children's table, which they're toddlers and a baby, so you can imagine it's very small. And yeah, I couldn't find anything to sit at it, so I'm on the weirdest position. Anyway, so if it all goes a little bit wobbly, that's why. Everyone else is busy in the house, so this is where I have space to get on. So we're going to do the second circle and basically all the rest of the circles in the garland now. So using the same materials but a different colour, or is the same colour if you only have one colour, that's fine. You can always make a garland out of one colour. We're going to cast on and then chain 4. So as I say, this pattern is, if you can learn this one is just repeated all the way until you've reached the size that you want your garland to be. So I've chained 4 there, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain, and to slip stitch you insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and carry on pulling through all the way through the loop on your hook. And then I'm going to chain 1. Then you insert your hook into that centre of that circle, not that first stitch which is a bit big and gaping now, but into the middle of the circle, and yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through to make a single crochet. Then we chain 2. And that is one little portion complete, and we're going to do that 3 more times. So we put our hook into the middle of the circle and do a single crochet, and then we chain 2, and then we put our hook back through the middle of the circle and do another single crochet and chain 2, and then one more time we put our hook through the circle, do a single crochet and chain 2. And now we're going to join that chain 2 to the first single crochet, which is there, to the top of it, just there, with a slip stitch. So we put our hook through it, yarn over and pull through, and then carry on and pull through the loop on your hook. And you've got a nice secure centre circle there. Now we're going to do a slip stitch into the first chain 2 space. Now the chain 2 space is basically the gap that was created when you did that chain 2 between the single crochets. So you can see there I've got a little gap going on, and that is where I'm going to put my hook next to do the slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through all the way through to the loop on your hook. Now we're going to chain 2. So this will look very familiar if you've been doing the first part, because it is just the same until the end of this round. So then we do our 3 half double crochets into that same chain space. So half double crochets, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain space, yarn over again, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And we repeat that again. So you've got 3. Remember, you can easily count half double crochets because there's a little gap between them all, and we've got that chain 2 space. Then we're going to yarn over again and do the same thing but into the next chain 2 space, which is that one there, and we're going to do 4 of them this time. So there's number 4, and then yarn over and we're going to do the same into the next chain space, another 4, and then into the final chain space. Another 4. And then you should have 16 half double crochets all the way around. So then that includes your chain 2 at the beginning. That acts as a half double crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then we slip stitch to the top of that first chain 2, and that's because that is acting like a half double crochet, so not into the first half double crochet but into the top of the chain 2. So there was chain 1, chain 2, and it is a bit fiddly and annoying, to be honest. That's why I prefer to work slightly differently, but for this pattern this was what works. And then yarn over and pull through all the way through onto your hook. Great. Now up to the third round now, third and final round, and again we chain 2, and that counts as our first half double crochet. Then we yarn over and do a half double crochet into exactly the same stitch as we've just slip stitched into, top of that chain 2. And then we do 1 half double crochet into the second stitch, and remember I messed up in the last video and forgot that the second stitch is actually this one here. It's hidden a bit in this gap here, so you need to go into there. There we go. And now we're going to repeat a pattern of 2 half double crochets followed by 1 half double crochet 3 times. So 1, 2 into one stitch, then 1 into the next stitch, and that's 1 repeat. So into the next stitch I'm going to do 2, and then 1 into the following one. 1, 2. I'm getting all tangled up behind me here. Just throwing that off the table, that's helpful. So that's 2, and then I need 1 in the next one, and that's my second repeat. And then I'm going to do it one more time, 2 into the next stitch, and then 1 into the next stitch. And I'm just going to pause there. And this is where it's slightly different to that first circle that we made, because this is where we join to the previous circle. So it doesn't matter where you're up to in your garland, because it's the same whether you join into your first one or your 5th one. You then keep your yarn on your right hand side of the hook, put your hook through the back of the slip stitch of the chain 2 that you fastened off with last time. So that's the front of my previous circle. I'm going to put it through from the back, and then I effectively yarn over and pull through both loops, and that is a slip stitch to join the 2 together. Then I yarn over, and into the next stitch I do 2 half double crochets to follow up the same pattern. So 2 into that stitch, and then 1 into the next stitch, you guessed it. And we repeat that all the way to the end. So 2 and then 1. And remember, if you get confused at any point, you can just pull it a little bit and you can easily see. So there's 2 stitches into that stitch there. They kind of make a bit of a V shape. And then there's 1 stitch behind, then 2. So you can check whether you've made any mistakes as you go. So 1, 2, 1, 2 into the next one, and finishing on a 1. Remembering you don't need to go into that slip stitch unless you messed up like I did last time, so that slip stitch goes spare. And then you attach to the top of the chain 2, which is here, and you do that with a slip stitch again, going through both parts of that stitch there, pulling through, and then we finish with a chain 2 just like we did on the previous circle. So chain 2, pinch it so you don't get it stretching too far. Oh, excuse me. Then we're going to cut the yarn. Make sure you leave yourself enough tail for fastening off. You pull your thread through. I'm just going to set it down a minute while I thread my darning needle. And then I found to fasten off, I quite like just following the figure of 8 type loop back down and through to keep it kind of neat, and then flip it over and go down into the back. And don't pull too tight or you will. You need to kind of keep an eye on that top loop, you don't want to pull it all the way through. And then just back and 2 3 times to secure your yarn. Two, 3, and I can put that off. And then same with your starting chain, unless you actually held it behind your work, which I have been doing on my other circles, so that you actually carry on crocheting it in while you go. So that is an option. If you've done that on previous work and you know how to do that, feel free to do that, and then you don't have to sew this piece in at the end, and that's just one less bit of sewing, which the least sewing the best in my opinion. There we go. And then there you have it. That's your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the other garlands, all the other circles that you want to add to your garland. Oops, oh, it's all going to pot now, low battery sign and everything. So I'm just going to trim that one so it's looking neat. Get rid of my strands. And then there we have it. I've twisted that one round. There we go. We've got it. Oh, what have I done here? Yes, that's the front of my circle. There we go. Voila. There we have it. Can you see? And you just repeat that pattern all the way through now until your garland is as long as you want it to be. So mine is slowly getting there now. Got quite a bit of garland going on. Not really sure what I'm going to use it for, but it's looking pretty nonetheless. And hopefully you'll enjoy making yours. If you have any questions, please do get in touch, and I'd be happy to answer them. Don't forget, if you want to have a go at reading the pattern yourself, I have put a link on the website, so do feel free to check that out and match up what you're doing with the pattern, and then you can get a bit of a feel for how to go about learning how to read a pattern. I am so not with it right now, as you might be able to tell. It's been a long day. Been a nice trip out this afternoon, but now fairly dazed. So I'm going to leave you to that, and I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you with the next project, which I think we're going to start trying to make some what's called amigurumi, which is basically little teddy making. So I think I'm going to share with you one of my own patterns, and we're going to do it in a form of a crochet along, which is where a bit of the pattern is released each day or every few days, and then you just kind of build it up over a couple of days, and we all work on it together and then have a finished product. So I think watch this space, and I'll probably start that next week, so you've got time to be working on this garland, because it is very repetitive to make all the different circles. Yeah, happy hooking everybody, stay safe, and see you soon.